Alright, hello boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be telling you how to level your weapons if you think it's still 2016 over here in Hydron.
Intruder terminated.
Actually no, this is going to be talking about defense. So yeah, this is your bog standard defense mission. We are defending this Warframe cryopod. Boy is that an outdated thing that doesn't really make sense anymore.
Oh,
Hey,
I killed someone.
and beyond that... No. Beyond that, yeah, defense. It's the mode that people don't really like to play. Uh, it's quite long. We're on wave 1 of 5 here, even considering I'm doing it the slow way, essentially. And D actually is aware of some of the problems with it, because they've fixed it, or done it better. And I'm going to highlight those too. But yeah, defense's problem is typically, one, the name. Our objective is not to defend this thing. That's a secondary objective, or if you have it, a failure state, but that's not actually the primary objective and we'll never actually complete the mission. That's why what I'm doing right now is very much frowned upon by most players. I'm actually stopping guys from getting into this room. Which would be very good if the objective was to actually defend that thing, but has no limited practical use when the objective is actually much more in line with Destiny Prison of Elders. We're supposed to be killing all of these guys. I'd have to look up the exact number of how many you have to kill each wave, but yeah. That's what completes the mission. It's a endless exterminate in a... It's like 5 exterminate missions in a single tile stacked up. And this is secondary or tertiary. And because people just want to sit here and let the enemies come to them, or they're just going to sit here with a Zephyr Tornado or something, they'll get very pissed if you do this and just make all the enemies, not get here. So then they have to run around the edges, killing them like so.
One less border.
And, obviously that's got degrees to it, but yeah. So, that in itself is a problem, because you get your new player who plays Limbo or Vauban or whatever in a mission. They're trying to defend the thing, which is not what you need to do, and then the veteran player is like, what the fuck are you doing, you stupid noob? You're keeping the enemies from coming to us, or you're keeping them out in these other rooms so we can't kill them, and blah blah blah. Creates its whole big problem. Haha, you funny boy. And yeah. So yeah, we've already got a whole lot of problems because the mission name and the mission briefing does not tell you the actual goal, which should say like wave 2, 0 of 100 enemies killed. And that immediately both causes the mode to be slower than it needs to be for a lot of people, because they are not actually pursuing the objective, the actual mission. And you get that little bit of toxicity going on too. And that's a big problem. Like I said, DE has fixed some of this. They've definitely fixed the part where it's way too long. And I'll see a second, because we're going to also talk about operator defense. Or operative defense, rather.
Arms, oh God, King!
So yeah, once Barrow's done, brown nosy and arrows there. This is operative defense. We're doing this one because I didn't have a sortie or an Archon Hunt version handy. Operative defense is very much like normal defense. Your objective is to actually kill the waves of enemies, and your secondary objective is to defend some sort of thing from dying. In this case, an operative. In this particular case, Barrow Katir, brown nose or an arrows. The problem with operative defense is this guy, and every other operative for that matter, doesn't act like a sane person. He engages the enemies in his own mostly useless way. And he'll just, you can't tell him to stay put. You can't tell him to stay safe. He doesn't follow a predictive pattern. He will run all over the place. It would be even worse if there are 4 people in here, because I think they try and warp to individual players. And yeah, also you can see all operative defenses, for whatever screwball reason, are 10 waves and not 5. So the whole thing where defense is kind of long and takes forever is even more exacerbated by operative defense, which is always 10 waves. Yeah. Regular operatives that are not Barracuda, you can also give them your secondary weapon. Even if your secondary weapon is very, very good, there's some kind of statistical nerf that they get to it because they clearly are not using the like full-powered version. I'm not going to subject you to staying here for as long as it takes to clear 10 waves, as much as that might not be a terribly large amount of time. If you're wondering how to get into this mission particularly, all I say is everything you need to know is on screen, but if you want to look it up on the wiki, it's Void Raider, is what the thing's called. It does give you some of the better looking armor that you can get without spending platinum, but other than that, it's not terribly relevant to anything. Anyways, I will see you over in a second here for our next example. Alright, so through the magic of editing, you got here immediately. I had to go through like 7 rounds of circuit before it finally gave me a defense mission. Oh boy, that was sure fun. So circuit is where D maybe heavy asterisk realized that defense is kind of a slog and overly long. They didn't solve the stuff like it being based on kills, but not telling you that and things like that. But what they did do was they reduced the waves for standard defense from 5 to 3, as you can see up in the left there. Now there's 2 possibilities, because they didn't exactly clarify the reason for that. One was that on the Steel Path version of Circuit, people were saying the defense objective basically could not survive the full thing, which was a fair concern. That, though, you'd think you would either, you know, just buff the defenses of the objective or give you a way to heal it, but not turn down the number of waves. So that's an alternative for maybe they didn't think it was too long, but they were addressing those concerns. Both concerns were pretty regularly aired by a player base. One thing you may have noticed in this defense is despite being 3 waves, it is way more intense. There's more Xmas units, the enemies come faster in general, things like that. It's like the amped up mode of defense. I think at one point they were talking about adding a boss to the 3rd wave, like a little mini boss. Again, harkening back to that Destiny Prison of Elders comparison, but that never actually came to pass. So yeah, we do have an example where D was like, they did shorten the defense game and just simply turned up the enemies to make it more challenging, in theory. The concept of whether more enemies is more challenging or less challenging is its own video, basically. Because a lot of warframes have, and even some status effects and stuff, scale much better when there's more enemies. Anyways, so yeah, we have an example where D said, yeah, let's not make the mission longer, let's make it shorter, but it never went out and kind of, I think it was mentioned as maybe going to roll out to regular defense, but it never did. It's just been kind of sitting in Deviri as an orphan idea by itself. Anyways, we'll see in another step, because I'm going to show you the better version of Operative Defense, which is probably more interest to people, because it's not something you would necessarily see mentioned a whole lot. And we will see you there in just a second after I finish this. Alright, through the magic of editing, you've once again missed a exceptionally long, sort of drawn out thing. And here we are in an isolation vault. You might be asking, an isolation vault's not a defense mission. You'd be totally right. There are actually a few things down here with the variants of defense missions, but you'll see which ones we're talking about in a second here. Oh boy, I have really misplaced myself. Also, you get to see a necromech get killed. I think I have a short that's basically a tutorial on that. Might not be out yet. Might be in the queue. Yeah. So if you're wondering, we're particularly simulating operative defense. This in itself is not relevant to that, but hey. This is just an obnoxiously annoying enemy. least he's not doing his invulnerability thing.
Function. A most satisfactory
Anyways, so Operative Defense. I mentioned that there's a better version of that in the game than the actual Operative Defense, and it's here. In here today, Boyd is our operative. Once I get him to pop out. Really? Don't bug out on me. I believe this one is a blooper. I guess. Alright, it's a few days later and I had time to go back and do some random testing. Suspected it was, you know, the amp I was using was AoE kinda, so maybe that didn't count and various things like that. But what I believe was I used the Virtuous Forge and Trojan on my amp so I can resurrect myself, which means it was mostly not Void.
I'll show you the locks on the vault.
So yeah, I guess be wary of that if you're doing isolation vaults. Back to the point at hand. So Lloyd here is our operative. We are, in all effects and purposes, doing an operative defense here. Except, unlike the other operatives, Lloyd is not an idiot. He has specific objectives. While he will go through into enemies and put himself in danger, he has specific targets. He goes from point to point. And that's what all the other ones are supposed to be doing too. They're always meant to be hacking or some other thing like that. So yeah, Lloyd here is actually, they've created the better, smarter version of Operative Defense, but it's never made it out of the ISO vaults. It's just, you know, forever locked here, never to be referenced again. And you can't, the funny thing is, like, the defense tiles, they're all shared with interception, so they all have 4 consoles to go to, just like Lloyd is doing here. So I can't imagine it would actually be, I'm not going to pretend I'm a game developer, never mind having used Warframe's engine. I know a little bit about programming and stuff, but not professionally speaking. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it'd be a huge deal to simply have the operatives on other tiles go between the 4 interception points and operate the consoles at them while you defend them in the same way. Which would eliminate, other than the length, 90% of the complaints about Operative Defense. Anyways, Lloyd here is going to shortly go on to other things. So yeah, the biggest things with defense is the length, which they addressed in Deviri by making it 3 rounds that are more intense. The poor communication of objectives, because if your objective is kill 300 enemies, it should be to kill 300 enemies and not put that on the screen somewhere. And when we're talking about operative defense, they should do, like, the operative should not just be a random mess of lag warping and stupidity. They should just do something predictable like good old Lloyd here. Steadfast person that he is. So yeah, that's my thoughts on defense. Hang on.
Be sure before you input.
Closed fist, open fist, something, and then the sideways eye.
Some of the knowledge that was brought back from the void never left these vaults. I hope you can find the use of it.
So yeah, that's my thoughts on defense. Feel free to like and comment your own thoughts. Good, bad. You have other examples where they've made the better version of a game mode in the game, but it's buried in some weird niche.
It is a difficult place to navigate.
And feel free to do the whole like, subscribe thing on the channel for more. The next kind of meta-analysis of Warframe's got to do with the new player experience. everyone's favorite topic, but not talking about tutorials like most, or grind like most people. I've got another tangent to take on that one. We've also got the Nezha video coming up. The build for that's basically done. I just need to actually record the footage and redraw my thumbnail because I wasn't happy with how it came out. So that one should hopefully be coming out soon too as well. And we will see you then.